Like, share, subscribe. Can y'all please hit the like button? This is something real quick that I found um about a couple banks. And I've been saying Bank of America going forward, y'all need to only keep enough money in your bank account to pay your bills. Because when these banks fall, if you have money, the FDIC, oh excuse me, only assures up to what 150,000. So, and we as black folks, we ain't got nothing to lose for real. Just keep enough money in your account to pay your bills, and that's a fact. Because these banks is dirty. Now, TD Bank pled guilty to money laundering. Pled guilty, and that's the first time an institution bank pled guilty to anything. Amazing. So this article is lessons learned from DOJ's first money laundering plea. A bank took a plea for money laundering by a major financial institution. TD Bank pleaded guilty to violations of Bank Secrecy Act and conspired to commit money laundering. The plea agreement outlines the facts that led to the charges and the consequences the bank and its parent company will face, including an historic $3 billion in fines, asset caps, limits of the bank's ability to expand, and significant remediation measures. The U.S. Department of Justice announced TD, the 10th largest bank in the United States, and its parent company, the bank, pleaded guilty to violations of the Bank Secrecy Act and conspiracy to commit money laundering. As part of the agreement, the bank agreed to pay over 1.8 billion in penalties, the largest penalty ever imposed on a bank. Wow. The plea also marked a rare instance of a major U.S. financial institution pleading guilty to money laundering charge. The bank's guilty pleas are part of a larger resolution totaling approximately $3 billion in penalties with the Board of Governors of Federal Reserve Board, the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, Department's Office of Comptroller of Currency. And that's who, when you have a dispute against a national bank, that's who you go and file your complaint, and you can get anything you want because it goes directly to the president and the VPs of that bank, and they will call you because I've done it. The Office of Comptroller of Currency. In announcing the charges, DOJ issued a stark warning to financial institutions, advising that every bank compliance official in America should be reviewing today's charges as a base study of what not to do. And every bank CEO and board member should be doing the same because if the business case for compliance wasn't clear before, it should be now. The bank pleaded guilty to willful failure to maintain an adequate anti money laundering program, conspiracy to knowingly fail to file accurate currency transactions, damn, where it go? Oh, conspiracy to knowingly fail to file accurate currency transaction report and conspiracy to commit money laundering. Each of these criminal penalties have intended knowingly requirements, thus involving conduct more serious than negligence. According to the plea agreement, for more than a decade, the bank had systematic deficiencies in its policies, procedures, controls, and further failed to take appropriate remedial action. In contrast to prior settlements with financial institutions related to systematic deficiencies in compliance programs, here the DOJ alleged that the bank actively enforced a system which prevented any budget increase to AML compliance program year after year, despite the identification of problems by federal regulators and internal auditors. According by making its services convenient for criminals. Wow, that must be drug money. As alleged in the plea agreement, specific failures were known by the bank at every level. Among those specific failures details that the bank did not automatically monitor domestic automated clearinghouse transactions, most check activity, and other types of transactions, and failed to meaningfully monitor transactions involving high risk countries. Between 2018 and April 2024, the bank failed to monitor approximately 18.3 trillion worth of transaction activity, which allowed hundreds of millions of dollars to flow through the bank. Wow. More than general compliance failures, the active conduct of bank employees also plays a significant role in a plea agreement, several of which have been prosecuted. Although others were charged, the ones that was doing it were charged. In connection with the resolution, branch office employees systematically failed to file internal unusual transaction reports as required for some transactions that exceed 10,000. Employees also alleged to have chosen to allow more than 5 billion in transaction activity to continue even after making internal decisions to close accounts over risk concerns. These intentional failures made the bank an easy target for the bad guys. Oh yeah, they was money laundering drug money. Yep. And permitted three separate money laundering networks to move a total of 670 million through the bank, spanning back to 2014. As part of the historic agreement, the bank faces penalties, including 1.4 billion cumulative fine for each day the bank failed to comply. Wow. Ooh. 400 million in criminal forfeiture. 1.3 billion penalty to fencing, the largest penalty ever assessed. 450 million penalty to OCC. 123.59 to FRB, federal, okay, credited from the resolution to the DOJ. Retention of an independent compliance monitor for a period of 3 years and a 5 year probationary period. The imposition of an asset cap of 434 billion, which also limits the bank's business functions and consolidated assets and can be lowered further if the bank fails to comply with remediation requirements. Limited on opening new branches, limited on dividend payments. The plea agreement requires the bank to demonstrate the high level commitment to compliance going forward, including strong, explicit, and visible support for and commitment to compliance demonstrated by rigorous support. The agreement sets forth requirements that the bank's compliance program must meet, which additionally serve as helpful reminders of the hallmarks of an effective compliance program, which the DOJ requires in determining whether a program is adequate. Companies should thus consider the requirements outlined in the agreement. A tested system for designation of high-risk customers, appropriate procedures for KYC and customer due diligence, review for high-risk accounts, period account and account holder reviews for illicit activity or money laundering. Yeah, they was drug money was going through here. Yes, that's what I believe. Automated transaction monitoring, periodic threshold testing, and analysis of transaction monitoring scenarios, timely and appropriate account closures, response to law enforcement requests, and legal process, filing of suspicious activity reports, and periodic testing. Under the agreement, the bank is now required to generate reports for management review of patterns or outliers in transaction activity. It must consider CTR summary reports, funds transfer reports, significant balance change reports, and ATM transaction reports, among other data. Let me see. The bank is prohibited by bonuses for directors, officers, and employees who do not satisfy compliance performance requirements. The bank must further implement compensation reduction provisions to claw back compensation paid to directors, officers, or employees who commit a violation or have supervisory authority over employees or business areas related to the commission of violation and demonstrate knowledge or willful blindness to the violation. There will be periodic monitoring, testing, and audits. Preventing insider risk. The plea agreement went beyond the failure to build and maintain an effective compliance program and covered misconduct by employees, including taking bribes, ooh, willfully failing to file reports, keeping accounts open despite internal determinations that they were high risk. Under the plea agreement, the bank must implement policies to mitigate insider risk as related to the laws prohibiting money laundering and other laws against illicit finance, in addition to laws bribery of bank employee. Oh yeah, this was drug money. The control should prevent and deter employees from assessing or using systems in an unauthorized, illicit manner, assessing or using customer accounts in an unauthorized or illicit manner, soliciting or receiving bribes or kickbacks, gratuities, or gifts in exchange for conducting certain activities, conducting or processing transactions in a manner designed to circumvent compliance and reporting requirements. The DOJ has made clear companies should be aware that they can earn significant cooperation credit if they cooperate with the investigation, tell on everybody else, and timely and proactively disclose misconduct. In this instance, despite the fact that it did not voluntarily disclose wrongdoing and failed to timely escalate the concerns to law enforcement, the bank still received a 20% reduction off the criminal penalty due to its cooperation and remediation efforts. Had the bank timely disclosed this misconduct, it would have been eligible to receive a larger reduction of its criminal penalty pursuant to the Criminal Division's Corporate Enforcement and Voluntary Self-Disclosure Policy. Wow. 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 Wow.
Level of TD Bank and ongoing.
And under the Biden administration.
Bank's illegal conduct will be off limits. We will follow the evidence wherever it leads. Federal anti-money laundering laws are designed to prevent criminals from using U.S. banks to fuel their crimes. Our laws dictate that the narcotics off traffickers who flood our communities.
Didn't I say it was drug money? Didn't I say it was drug money?
Drugs cannot use American financial institutions to move their money. And our anti-money laundering laws dictate the bank that really fit. That is what TD Bank was, because it failed to maintain an adequate anti-money laundering program between January 2014 and October 2023. Over a 6-year period, TD Bank failed to monitor $18.3 trillion.
Wow.
As TD Bank admitted in its plea agreement, this allowed 3 money laundering networks to transfer over $670 million through TD Bank accounts. At least one of those schemes involved 5 TD Bank employees. The bank maintained an automated transaction monitoring system that was supposed to detect and generate alerts on suspicious transactions and activities. But that system was willfully deficient. As the bank did it in the statement of facts, it filed today. The person who became the bank's chief anti-money laundering officer knew there were serious problems with the bank's anti-money, but the bank failed to correct them. 3 money laundering networks took advantage of TD Bank's failed anti-money laundering scheme system. TD Bank employees knew as David moved over $470 million in illicit funds through TD Bank branches in the United States.
Wow.
David pled guilty to laundering drug proceeds through the bank. David had attempted to launder money through numerous financial institutions, but he found that TD Bank had the most permissive policy and procedures to launder there. He also bought keys with the illegal.
Wow, 57,000 gift cards to employees.
Was obvious, to say the least. On more than one occasion, he deposited more than $1 million in cash in a single day. He then immediately moved the funds out of the bank.
He deposited $1 billion in cash in a day. No, you need to break that up, brother. Wow.
Using official bank checks and wire transfers. TD Bank employees at many levels understood and acknowledged the likely illegality of David's activity. In August 2020, one TD Bank another structure outlawed his supervisors, several TD Bank regional managers, to act, noting that, quote, "It is getting out of hand, and my tellers are at the point don't be comfortable handling these transactions." In February 2021, one TD Bank store employee saw that David's network had purchased more than $1 million in bank checks in a single day. They asked, "How is that not laundering?"
Wow.
A back office employee responded, quote, "Oh, it 100% is." In a second separate money laundering scheme, 5 TD Bank employees conspired with criminal organizations to open and maintain accounts at the bank that were used to launder $39 million to Colombia, including drug proceeds.
Wow.
That money laundering organization reused the same Venezuelan passports to open multiple accounts at TD Bank. It sometimes used the same passport to obtain multiple debit cards or a single account. Despite significant, the bank did not identify these conspiring to launder tens of billions of dollars to Colombia. Enforcement arrested them. It's outlined in this. A money laundering network maintained accounts at TD Bank for at least.
Come on now.
Even though retail employees flagged suspicious activity report until law enforcement alerted the bank to the money laundering network.
Wow.
Consequences for failure. When it comes to compliance, there are really only 2 options: invest now or face severe consequence later. As I've said before, a corporate strategy that pursues profits at the expense of compliance isn't a path to riches, it's a path to federal prosecution. I want to thank the women and men of the Justice Department's Criminal Division, the U.S. Attorney's own employees used to launder money through the bank. All told, 3 money laundering networks, 2 prosecuted by our partners in the District of New Jersey, and a 3rd prosecuted in the District of Puerto Rico. They laundered $670 million through TD.
Wow.
And in one of the schemes, 5 bank insiders helped. These
5.
TD and bank employees
Ooh.
opened and maintained accounts for money laundering networks. They provided dozens of ATM cards that the launderers used to withdraw funds in Colombia shortly after the money was deposited in the United States. Debit cards they issued to TD accounts these 5 insiders opened. The laundering networks moved over $39 million in illicit funds. And that's why today, TD Bank has pleaded guilty not only to violating the Bank Secrecy Act, but also to money laundering conspiracy. Because TD Bank inadequate program, a bank insider resolution, in addition to the historic daily BSA fine we have imposed, sends a clear message to U.S. financial institutions. You are the first line of defense. When you criminally fail to protect your own bank from money laundering, you put our financial system at risk. And we will hold you accountable. But it is never to do the right thing. After TD learned of our investigation, the bank provided strong cooperation. For example, TD identified additional misconduct and provided evidence of that misconduct to the department. Some of that evidence helped advance our investigation of individuals, including video surveillance footage that TD provided after reviewing hundreds of hours of videotape, and other evidence that was recovered only because these secret workplace employees involved in misconduct. What's more, TD took steps on its own to hold its employees financially accountable. The bank clawed back bonuses, including for its CEO and other executives, resulting in a dollar-for-dollar reduction of the bank's fine by approximately $2 million. And that's consistent with the Criminal Division's pilot program on compensation, incentives, and clawbacks. Under that pilot program, as of today, 10 companies that have resolved with the Criminal Division have implemented compliance metrics in their compensation systems. But today's resolution marks the first. This is the first
You
time
can't
a
make
company
this
has
up.
committed to clawing back compensation prospectively. Over the next few months, TD will identify additional compensation
from the United States to Colombia for drug traffickers. TD Bank's anti-money laundering values were new. It was significantly spending.
I'm sure they knew.
Year after year. The bank knew it wasn't monitoring huge swaths of banking activity. And it knew that millions of dollars were being funneled through TD Bank accounts from the US to Colombia using ATMs. It knew that peer money transfers like Zelle, when essentially companies have repeatedly identified the need for transaction monitoring scenarios to adequately capture money laundering and other risks the bank faced. And it adopted these massive problems, repeatedly prioritizing profits and the convenience over meeting its legal obligations. It's no wonder then that the motto, America's most convenient bank, was used as a joke among employees to describe TD Bank being convenient for criminals. I want to credit all of the extraordinary work done on this case by the prosecutor.
Wow, trillions of dollars. And who controlled the banks? Illuminati. Especially them that, because Illuminati banks. They had to pay 1.8 billion. But they still around. Ain't that something? Okay, let's get into Bank of America real quick. Let me get there. What? I hope I didn't did it go? Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm just gonna put video for Bank of America. Hold on. Where is that? Oh, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. This real quick. Bank of America system crash. So you know what? I do need to look. Let me. And shut down people accounts. People couldn't get their money. It's another way of stealing your customers' money. Dang, this done happened more than one time. It appears there have been reports of Bank of America system outages in the past. October 2024, where some customers experienced issues accessing their accounts and balance information. Also, January 2023, January 2025. It caused some customers to see zero balances. It's another way of stealing money, to see zero balances in their accounts during this crash. Wow, unbelievable. Let me change this. Like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. This was gonna be short. I gotta come back with a celebrity. I'm trying to figure out. Oh, I'm gonna do Skilla, baby. All right.